I'm Mary Ellen Murphy from WGHN Radio.
And I'm Sarah Leach with the Ottawa News Network.
This is Two J's in a Pod, and we're in a new space.
I know.
This is awesome, and soon we'll have video.
I know.
This is great. I'm wearing my bathing suit underneath my clothes because I'm going to the beach after this. But how was your week? I did go out to the Fillmore Street complex and covered the Vets Center. Congresswoman Skolton was out there, Jason Schenkel, of course. Some of the commissioners were out there. I got some pictures, got some audio, and then I had to go. I didn't get a chance to see inside, but I was thinking about how they're going to get there.
Yeah.
How are vets who may not have transportation going to get there? And I hope that's something that they can resolve. I don't know.
Yeah, this came up mid last year, and the Vets Department said that they wanted to have more space because previously they were in the health department building in Holland. I'm curious about that myself because when that question was posed to Schenkel, he said, well, we figured that we would put it central in the county in the Fillmore complex, and it's going to be equally inconvenient for everyone. Okay. Which I thought, wait, what? That doesn't really make any sense to me because usually the objective is to bring the services to meet people where they're at, not to force them to find a way to get to you. Right. And we have two major public transportation systems, right? You know, one in Holland, one in Grand Haven. I'm unfamiliar with what the options are on the east side of the county, but they don't talk to each other, so they don't coordinate, and kind of seems just weird to me. The choices. I'm sure that the facilities are great, but
I wonder if they could get some kind of transportation, like for vets. Seriously, if they get like one of those big vans, right? And like every Tuesday, we're going to take a certain amount of vets over to the Fillmore Street complex to do the business that they need to do. That's a possibility,
right?
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of organizations have vans like that. They do.
Well, it just kind of seems like we focus on having something that is shiny and new, but we're not necessarily thinking about the practicalities of service delivery and transportation. And frankly, I would like to see a comprehensive survey done on what vets actually want out of the Veterans Service Department, rather than sort of basing it on what our assumptions are on individual experiences. Because I've met a couple of vets who said, hey, I choose not to use some of these services because I don't need them right now. Right. And so don't list me as a statistic as if you're not reaching me. Right. I'm making that conscious choice. Yes. And that's not often discussed or accounted for.
And I'll say this, I don't think that it has anything to do with being a Republican or a Democrat. I get really tired of the far right thinking that they own patriotism and they own the vet. No, my brothers are vets. No. Right. No. Enough of that. It's just become so politicized. It just has. So anyway, I went and I did that. What have you been working on?
Well, I don't know if you saw that our lifeguard story published with the double hull solutions in the South Haven connection that we discussed last week.
Do tell.
Yeah, so what we did was we talked about that program and sort of, what the mechanics are behind it. We did talk to some Ottawa County officials, and they said that the odds of having any kind of options here in Ottawa County are pretty slim to none because it's too challenging. The area is too complex. They are going to improve on their signage, though, which I've been sort of harping on for years. I mean, ever since I moved to the west side of the state. Okay. These teeny tiny little flags, when you have like 2 miles of beach line, and you've got umbrellas everywhere, and it's a kaleidoscope of colors, and you can't see this one little red flag that is, maybe 10 feet in the air. Right. And they're spaced out so far that it's not reaching the people that it needs to reach, because most of the people who drown in the lake are inexperienced swimmers that do not live here.
That's a fact. Well, they do have the Swim Smart system out at Grand Haven State Park, which are those big, monstrous things that you see. Right. I had the guy who designed those in the studio last month, and I'm working on a long-term story for that. But the Swim Smart system does work, but like you say, you can't legally force people out of the water. Right. I did not know that. Yeah. Yeah. You can now authorities can close the beach. Sure. Yeah. If the weather's too rough, but you cannot, you can't do that. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's personal responsibility and personal choice. I mean, personal risk, really.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Where are we at on the big, beautiful billionaire bought bill? Do we know where we're at on the? Well, by the time this airs, we don't know. There might be a vote. I don't. Yeah.
I think they're voting on it today.
Okay.
I think it's going to pass. But hey, Elon Musk is going to primary Republicans now who vote for it, or President Trump is thinking about deporting Musk. So
Oh my gosh.
Business as usual.
This is unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know what to say to people.
It's like SNL is going to be put out of business because they're not going to be coming up with any of the comedy. It's just going to be reality.
I keep thinking about people that are on medication, people that have mental illness. People are going to be institutionalized again, or they're going to be living on the streets if they lose their Medicaid because they won't be able to pay for their medicine.
Yeah.
Where are they going to end up? What's going to happen to these adult care facilities?
Well, what I anticipate happening is kind of like what we've seen in a lot of other spaces is, either an executive order happens or Congress passes a bill, and then unexpected fallout happens, and then the states will step in, and then they will sue to prevent implementation of certain portions of things because if the onus is then on them to provide certain services to their citizens, and then they're going to say, hey, this isn't our responsibility either. And, the lawyers will get involved, and, on it goes. So I try not to get into the catastrophic thinking until I absolutely have to.
Okay. I'm already into the catastrophic
I know.
thinking because I've been there with the big C.
It doesn't mean that I ignore reality or that I'm in denial or anything, but it's just like, we've talked about this a little bit. If you focus too much on that, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
Because if you get overwhelmed by the whole thing, then you feel helpless. And feeling helpless doesn't solve anything.
Right. That's true. I did hear a few interviews with the House Speaker, and the people interviewing him, he talked about, they asked about rural hospitals, and he said, well, we have a plan for that. But do you think they followed up and said, well, what is that plan, Speaker? No, they just moved on to the next question.
Is that like Trump's plan to replace Obamacare?
Thank you, Megyn Kelly.
2016, 2015. Any day now, we should be hearing about it. I was driving for 6 hours yesterday, so I'm a little bit out of it today.
I believe it.
But I was thinking, we have not actually had a quote-unquote normal presidential debate in over 10 years.
Oh, my gosh.
2012 was the last time that politics were like at least close to whatever accepted norms were. I kind of sat back and I thought, wow. I mean, by the time that 28 comes around, which hopefully will be some inching towards returning to, previously accepted norms, that is a significant amount of time. That's 16 years.
I feel like the last 10 years have been people have been given a full ride to be as ugly as they can be, to be as mean as they can be. I have seen people I have known for decades, and I don't even know who they are anymore.
Yeah.
And this is what President Trump has done. He's given everyone an excuse to be the worst version of themselves. And that's what they're doing.
And then I'm gonna do that whole optimism thing again. I know I'm annoying. But,
I just rolled my eyes.
I feel like recognize this. But I kind of think that sometimes progress happens too quickly. And I know that that's not a very popular take in a lot of circles around here, but I do think that sometimes it happens too quickly where we do have to recognize, like during the civil rights era, when women, getting the right to vote, there was the history that precedes all of those big major changes. We grew up in a society that it had certain accepted norms, whether we liked them or not, they existed.
Okay.
And then you have to kind of like wait for a lot of people to sort of natural attrition, I guess is the kindest way of putting it. You basically have to wait for a generation to die and the next generation to come in to now establish these new norms, right? And I think that we're seeing so much progress and change with technology, social media, this big push for equal rights and all of these different diverse spaces. I'm not making excuses for the people that don't accept some of those changes, but I do recognize that can be difficult for them to wrap their heads around. They saw an easy out with Trump. They saw a way to say, no, but this is wrong. This is bad. I don't like this. This is, gross or ugly or, it's against the Bible, whatever the argument is. And I do think that we do have kind of like this pendulum that swings back and forth. Every time that we have a big push forward, we have a little bit of regression back. We have a big push forward, we have a little bit of regression back. We always have a net gain forward, though. We're just kind of seeing some of that tension. It's a natural tension that happens. I'm kind of happy that some of this stuff is getting flushed out because I think that people always felt this way. They just weren't saying it. So it still existed.
So
it was still there.
And I was a very bad judge of character then.
Well, I mean, people kind of like felt like they couldn't be their true selves, and maybe that. I guess I would rather have this harsh reality and
know who people are,
discomfort rather than false nice and false.
That's fair.
I just don't. I don't like that. I would rather people be genuine so that I can actually know who they are.
Okay, I guess that's fair. Okay, all right. Where are we at on lawsuits?
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Don't you love how I segue?
I know, right?
This is my ADD.
Easy transition, yeah. We're really not seeing a whole lot of progress in any of the lawsuits right now. I am still kind of frustrated that we haven't seen anything from the Kleinians lawsuit. I know that it's still sort of in the deposition phase, and all of these people are getting interviewed. I know that MSU officials were deposed within the past couple of weeks. I just don't know exactly what we're going to see from that because I know that there's an appetite to settle some of these things, but I also think that the memory of Ottawa County residents is short, and we're in the middle of summer. Yeah, and there's a lot going on, in the state and in the nation, and people don't want to think about what this ugliness of the previous chapter of Ottawa County. So it's hard to kind of keep that front and center to make sure that gets resolved because it needs to get resolved.
And what was the percentage of people that are reading news these days? It's pretty small. Am I right? It was 30%. 30% of people read news. 30%. 30%.
Yeah.
I mean, we had people calling the radio station wanting to know about the blanket policy for the city of Grand Haven. Okay. If you go on your computer and Google that, a story will come up. Or you could go to the City of Grand Haven's Facebook page and find it there. It's been the same policy, you guys, for 30 years.
That reminds me of a story when I was a night copy editor at the Muskegon Chronicle in the early 2000s, and I got a call from a very nice, very inebriated man, and he said, I want you to settle a bet with my buddy and I. Can you tell me how many of the Four Tops are still alive? I was just like, what? So I Googled it for him.
Of course you did. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're calling and recognizing that you're the trusted source of information.
I suppose, but I was hearing that people were just waltzing their way into the chamber's office wanting to know about the blank. And the chamber was like, go to the City of Grand Haven's website.
I know. I mean, everyone's just sort of, it's sort of first world problems though, right? I mean, everyone's just like, I would like this. Someone give it to me.
Oh my God. It's not that hard to Google.
My thumbs are too sore. I couldn't possibly do this myself.
It is construction season. There's a lot of that going on. We've got a meeting coming up on the 24th, I believe, with Ottawa County. Am I right on that?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it looks like a light week in committee meetings next week.
Next week is committee meetings. That's right. Yeah. Finance and Health and Human Services. Okay.
I know that this is going to be a weird thing to say, but I am getting a little bit nervous about how calm things have been. I feel like I'm being lulled into a false sense of security. I even had a couple of people contact me over the past week saying, why was Ottawa Impact not capitalizing on the fact that the most recent administrator search fell apart? Why are they getting along so well? What's going on?
Oh, goodness. That's funny.
I'm just like, oh, dear.
That's funny.
I know. Well, I don't blame them. I mean, we've been through so many iterations of this that people are very reactive and paranoid because
that makes sense.
We're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. We've been trained to. We're like Pavlov's dog over
You're right.
here.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. We have been trained to wait for the worst, to wait for the ball to drop.
Yeah, it's like things are going a little bit too well. What is about to happen?
It's like getting a news release at 4:00 on a Friday. I did want to mention a couple of things about nonprofits because they're really hurting. Salvation
I
Army.
have one of those.
They're hurting. They need your help. They're going to be doing their bell ringing Christmas in July on July 12th and 19th at D&W on Robinson, Fortino's, or Lepinks in Ferrysburg. You can sign up at Register to Ring, and then they've got an event coming up in a couple of weeks, the Wood Chippers Ball, which is a big event for them that will help them. But they're struggling. They're struggling. Their bell ringing campaign last year did not raise as much as they needed.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't. It just didn't. And
I wonder
so they're
why.
struggling. Love and Action of the Tri-Cities, they're struggling for food donations. Well, I know that the Salvation Army did not have paid bell ringers this time.
Oh, I didn't realize that they paid them.
They did have paid bell ringers, and paid bell ringers would be people that actually needed the money, and they would actually they would go to the same place every day and do it every day like a job.
Right.
And so they decided not to do that, and I think they found that they're going to do 50-50, half paid, half volunteer this coming Christmas season.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I just assumed that all of those people were volunteers.
No, they had paid bell ringers. I was a paid bell ringer at one point. So,
okay.
yeah, because I needed the money. Yeah, because I work in radio. I work in broadcasting. I wanted to mention something that I'm going... You just... Well, I've donated plasma. Don't even get me started, please. Don't tell me if I want health insurance. Instead of paying for the Affordable Care Act, I should go find a new job. I'm 62.
Yeah.
I've actively been looking for a job for 4 years now.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want to hear it. I'm going to be jumping out of an airplane.
Oh.
Okay?
I know someone who's doing that actually today. That's weird that you say that.
Okay. It's called Jump for Recovery at Grand Haven Skydive. Jump for Recovery is a movement. I have a lot of friends in recovery, so I'm going to be jumping in honor of them. It'll be a tandem jump, so someone will be on my back. It'll be videotaped.
I always feel like someone's on my back.
No, it'll be videotaped and everything, and we're going to be broadcasting live. And
have you done this before?
No. I am so excited. I heard it's amazing. As soon as you jump out of that plane, it's silence. It's like silence. And then you look around and you're like, okay, where's the chute? Where's the chute? Where's the chute? And then the guy pulls the chute and then you kind of like that.
I'm getting stressed out just
and then once the chute is up, you're just floating. You're floating. I'm going to put lipstick on while I'm floating down. Wow. Awesome. I'm doing it. So I'm doing it on July 19th at Grand Haven Skydive, Jump for Recovery.
Well, my middle child told me that on her 18th birthday, she wants to go skydiving. And I said, I'll make sure that your life insurance is up to date.
Girl. Yep. I could see. Yeah, I could see that.
I got to tell you, that is, I'm fairly adventurous, but that is one thing that I do not need that experience ever. Nope.
Dirk, have you ever No, he's shaking his head. Nope, he's never done it.
I can live a full life without ever having done.
Oh, I want to do it so bad. I can't wait.
I probably would pee myself. That's.
Well, I'm worried. I'm actually worried about when you land because you've got to.
You do kind of come down sort of hard.
You do kind of come down hard, and I think if you're in front, you kind of got to tuck your knee. Like I could just see myself boom, 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 and like breaking a leg or something.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm already. Accident prone. We've
talked about
we covered that last week.
Oh my gosh!
I'll have like bruises. Like, look, I have like a bruise on my arm. I have no idea where I got this. I have no idea. It just happens.
Just bumping into stuff.
I'm
not
a hemophiliac. I have no excuse. No, I'm not searching for new injuries. But it's it's catching on. It's very popular. But man, I get vertigo.
Do you?
When I'm like at the top of like the Sears Tower, I have to hold on to something or I get dizzy.
I didn't think about that. I got very sick when I was on the Coast Guard ship last year. Oh, it was terrible. I had to go into the office and they gave me like this big bucket. Oh, it was awful.
Like I can do like, ropes courses and, like that kind of, I can go up a ladder. But really giant heights. I just...
Yeah, planes don't bother me, but being on a boat, the water's moving, the boat's moving, and you're in the water, forget it. So that's why I had that.
I honeymooned in Ireland on the coast, their rockiest coastline. There's the Cliffs of Moher.
Yeah.
And so we went out there, and there are no fences or there's one sign saying just don't die. But you could literally just jump off if you wanted to.
Gosh.
And my husband, walks up there and he's like, peeking over. And I had to sit like 6 feet back because I couldn't get up there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I had to feel grounded to the earth. Yeah. And I think that's when I really realized I guess I am afraid of heights.
Jeez. Well, I'm jumping out of a plane and I can't wait. And we'll see how all that goes. And I hope
we should video this.
Grand Haven Skydive, there'll be somebody that'll...
The tandem person does it?
They will be able to videotape everything. And I think there's audio too, so...
Oh, I got to be careful, we have to coordinate this because I want to be like, like at the... where you land.
Oh, yeah.
And video you.
Boom. Here she comes. Oh, is there anything else to talk about?
Happy 4th of July,
fam.
Oh,
sure, yeah. America. Freedom, faith, family. You don't own those words.
Ooh.
Those words belong to everyone.
Like, did you just say that?
Freedom, faith, family, faith, freedom. Those words belong to everyone.
That's true.
Okay? You're not the first person to put that on a pillow.
Well, and I will say that I did a speaking gig a couple of days ago for HASP in Holland.
What's HASP?
It is the Holland Area Society of Professionals. That
makes sense.
It's like the retired folks that are, all of them are like, the brain trust that's way smarter than I am.
Okay.
And I've spoken to them a couple of times, and they said, we really appreciate the work that you do because you're helping democracy. And I guess I don't often think about the role. You don't have to be a soldier to be a patriot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you just support the system the way that the founders intended, like I think that we do, I think that we're patriots too.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. We shouldn't we should own that, and we should celebrate it.
You're right. And I know the words to Yankee Doodle Dandy, and I have a tap routine to that too, but I'm not going to do that. Ben, do you want to take us out of this podcast? Can you subscribe to our YouTube channel? 2 J's in a Pod on YouTube. If you can hit that subscribe button, that would be great. We've got a drum kit here in the studio. You want to take us out?